Hello everyone. Bienvenidos. Welcome to today's event. My name is Irma Marquez Trapero, and I am the Executive Director of Latino Lead. I use she, her pronouns. And today I'm really excited to get started on this new opportunity and conversation in partnership with the and part of our Elevate Inspire Latino Lead series is an opportunity for us to be able to share resources with our community, with our network, and be able to provide a platform in order for our community to be elevated. As far as for today, today is going to be an informational event, as I mentioned, co-hosted between our partner organization, DEED, and which is the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. The state of Minnesota, as we know, has allocated about $70 million in state funds for small businesses who have experienced financial hardship due to COVID-19, with special targeted funds for business owned by women, Black, Indigenous, of people of color, and veterans. So this is an opportunity for all of our community members to have information about how to continue to request support and funding. As we know, the pandemic has had a damaging effect on so many small businesses, and we have here the right people to share with us what opportunities we have for those resources. I will let our panelists introduce themselves, and we'll start with Efren. Oh, and you are muted, Efren. And if you could please share your name, your title, and the connection that you have to our Latino community, that would be.
Do I still muted?
No, now we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So my name is Efren Sanchez. I'm the co-owner of Latitude MPLS. It's a men's apparel pop-up. And I'm connected to the Latino lead for Carla Manzoni that invited me to be part of this panel today and kind of share our experience with whole pandemic and hardship in terms of business in these uncertain times.
Thank you so much, Efren, for being with us today and for sharing your own experience as a Latino small business owner. Next, we have Monica.
Hi, everybody. I am Monica Segura Schwartz. I have been part of the table with Latino Lead in the past with many other initiatives. I am part of the education initiative. I live in St. Cloud, and my advocacy has been mostly in the area of St. Cloud. I work for Latino Economic Development Center. That's my job and the reason why I'm here today. But in relationship with the Latino community, I am related through my work and also with a lot of advocacy in the region, more specifically within the central Minnesota area.
Thank you so much, Monica, and thank you for representing also a very important voice within our Latino community that is connected to Greater Minnesota. So thank you so much for being here. The next panelist that we have is Maureen.
Thank you, Irma. Hi, I'm Maureen Ramirez. I work for DEED, the State Department of Employment and Economic Development, as their director for the Office of Economic Opportunity, and kind of a community outreach and engagement job. I've been involved with Latino Lead and attended events and tried to, partner with them to help share information from this work. And I'm glad to be here today to tell you about it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Maureen. And last but not least, we have our community engagement manager, Carla, who is the mastermind behind putting this event together. So, Carla, please share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive a little bit more into questions. Oh, I think, is there any way you can unmute yourself?
There you go. I'm so sorry. It got hidden, like the button got hidden, and it's a new format for me. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Carla Manzoni. I am the new community engagement manager, Latino lead, and for me, it was very exciting to have this opportunity to share with the community these new resources. And thank you, Efren, for being the voice of the community and being the voice of the business person that is like having so many struggles right now. So thank you for spending your time with us today. And then the rest of the panel, thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you so much, Carla. And I think, that's a really great segue to one of the first questions that we have before we jump into resources, right? I think it's important to, as you mentioned, Carla, highlight, the folks at the center of this resource and this opportunity. And so I would love to hear from both you, Efren, and also Monica, as you work a lot with small businesses and small business owners. Can you share with us a little bit about an overview of how COVID has impacted, small businesses?
Monica, do you want to start?
All right, so thank you, Frank, for letting me start. So I'll go first then. I'll share my perspective from Latino Economic Development Center. We work with businesses all over. We're highly concentrated in San Paulo area, where our office is located, and also in Minneapolis, where we used to be located before, and also where it was a place of birth, close to the Mercado Central. But we work with the whole state of Minnesota. I particularly work with businesses around central Minnesota, as I mentioned earlier. So in terms of what has happened with businesses around COVID and what has happened, it have been impacts all over. As Maureen probably will talk about the specific grant that has happened, that we're going to discuss here today, is because of the closings that we had in the state due to governor orders that have affected mainly small businesses in the service area, more than others. So I'll let Maureen talking a little bit more about that, but that is definitely one of the biggest issues. In terms of the Latino community, we do have a lot of people that work in the service area that are small, very, very small business owners that you might not consider to be business owners. You might see them as employees of a bigger agency because they work with bigger agencies. So we have people in the service areas, people that do cleaning, people that do cleaning house or landscaping or those small jobs, or even construction work that were for bigger companies. They have been very, very affected by this. They depend on a bigger provider to assure their positions, their jobs. So that has been, they have been really affected during the pandemic. There were cases that people needed to be vaccinated or were not trusting people. The working homes, for example, they were having issues about coming to those homes because of the homeowner wouldn't feel comfortable having them there anymore. So there were those lack of employments. We also had a lot of businesses that suffer in the cities area, more specifically, not only because of COVID, but because of social unrest. Many businesses that were destroyed for social unrest. And when help came, some of them are kind of mixed between what is COVID, what is social unrest, what is the problems that you have, what is your business being hurt by. And I will also mention that in Lake Street there are some work, city work that has been affecting business negatively for a very long time. So there are business in that area more specific that have had a pile up of issues that happened all last year that have really affected the business, and many of them had actually gone off businesses because of that. So we're talking about more in those markets, in those retail businesses, in those small restaurants, that taco shops that had been affected by COVID more specifically. In the rural areas, we see a different dynamic. In the rural areas have been more of the service industry that were affected directly by the executive orders from the governor. But we have issues of misinformation and issues of what happened with what so-and-so say that you should or must do. So those are other businesses. And in the community as a whole, we have, as we have talked in the past with Latino Lead, we have a lot of meat packing and production industries that are in the rural areas that employ mostly Latinos, and they have been very severely affected by either COVID because they have had COVID in their plants, or because issues that had happened around this in their places of work. So those are other ways of the Latino community being affected in these areas. I will add that in terms of LEDC, one of our services is to do loans. We do lend. We are a CFI lending organization, and we provide loans to people. I'll speak a little bit more about this, but I'll say that one of the issues that we're seeing right now is delays in construction time. So there are people that wanted to do take the time to do remodeling, and right now there are there's several issues about construction time, and we are starting to see businesses that are being suffering by lack of labor that is happening and is affecting every business around the state. So I'll let you talk right now. So I'll let you go.
Thank you, Monica. Well, I think that you summarized very well the challenges that small businesses are facing right now, right? And for the last year, basically. I think from us, if I can share some wisdom or part of our experience with this, we started our business in 2018, to give a little bit of context. So we are in the very kind of neuralgic years to take this business out of the ground, right? When this happened. So there is a business that are being established for a lot of years that are being impacted in one way. And there is a lot of business that have been implemented in the last 2 or 3 years, and they are trying to grow their business and being impacted, I think, that more dramatically about what is happening. And as a business owner, you always adapt to the circumstances and figure out how to do it better with time. But when you face unpredictable circumstances like this one, like COVID, that you initially, I remember in May last year, you didn't know what is going to happen. You don't know what the essential business they're going to open. We personally partnership with a lot of retail and other services businesses in the area. So like breweries, food halls, and that kind of stuff to bring our pop-ups. So they close for basically a couple of months, or they don't have allowed to have certain people, and it was kind of a process in order to start to planning our business around on unpredictable circumstances. I think that this is the most challenging circumstances that we face as a business. If I can actually talk about what we did in order to survive, because we did survive, is look around for help. There is a lot of local help, and there is a lot of federal help that you are not aware that exists and is there. Be creative, trying to manage your business in a different way, manage your expenses. talk with your accountant to see what I said, to if you have one. If not, I really advise you to have an accountant so they can tell you which helps are available to you and help you out to fill those applications if you don't understand the language or they're not available in your language. I think that's a good idea. I think that digitalization of your business is a big one. I think that you see this in the service area a lot when people just go digital in terms of, for example, restaurants. There is a lot of restaurants that you cannot order from your house. Now, every restaurant in the cities have some platform to work with in order to do order for them. So I think that that's one part of what we did, trying to digitalize, and that's a long way to go when you try to do this. It's not easy. So I will try to advise you to find some help in those regards. And the internet have a lot of information, but sometimes it's not enough. You have to find somebody that know how to build a website and figure out how to ship stuff and create a page and all that kind of stuff. I think that is very important in this time because I don't think that we are completely out of this. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think that we are going back of what we was like last year in some certain way, right? Looking for what we've been reading. So that's my advice. Another thing that we did is trying to strategize better in terms of timing. If we have, for example, an event that we're going to have in September, we start in pre-COVID time to start to organizing in the month after that in August, where we do it 2 months earlier because things can change and then you can have various opportunities with various partners. Say, okay, don't just put this event in this place. Try to have different partners to see if you're going to make it in order that something wrong happens. So basically prepare yourself for any unpredictable things that come into you. Be more aware, strategize, and manage your expenses. Trying to create a fund in case that you are not having any revenue for your business is a good way to do it. If you don't have an SBA, try to figure it out. What are the requirements to do an SBA loan and figure it out how to finance your business with a low rates loans. That's another thing that we see as a business and look for a business to see it makes sense to us right now. So I think that's summarized. And another thing is just create a set of priorities for you. What do you need in order to your business be successful? For the time being, if you put a scenario when things are not going well, or you have to stop functioning for a year, which is what happened to us. What is the priorities? Pay your debt, pay your employees, and figure it out how much it's going to cost. Do the math, do the exercise of planning. In English, there is a thing like a planning for the worst and whatever. I don't remember how it says, but it's like a planning for something that is going to get very wrong so you can survive this year. That's what we did. And we are not out of the water completely, but at least we can start working in a better condition since May this year. And we've been able to do some revenue and survive this, taking in consideration everything that I just said before in the thing that you can do in your business. That's my personal experience.
Thank you so much, Efren, for sharing and being honest and transparent about the fact that this has not been easy for anyone. And to your point, right, like a lot of business owners and small businesses are really surviving a lot of this and still continue to and will probably, to your point, have to for the long term. However, I am happy, to now be diving into the portion of our event today that really shares some of those resources and connections that are in many ways the surviving thread for a lot of the small businesses that we have. And for that, we have Maureen to share the latest overview of the state funds for small businesses that have just now been announced. Tell us a little bit about, what are they, and an overview of what small business owners can expect and how to ultimately have access to those funds.
Yeah, thank you, Irma. Hi, everybody. Liz, I think, is able to show a couple slides so I can talk about it, and then you can see what we have available right now. Thank you. Are the Mainstreet COVID relief grants for small businesses. And this is a pot of money. It's $62.5 million. And we're giving these out in grants between $10,000 and $25,000. Depends on the size of the business that you have. So like Efren said, and like Monica said, right, it's been a hard time for businesses, and especially small businesses. And so the state has designated this funding, and here's who can apply. So you have to be a Minnesota business. You as the owner have to live in Minnesota, and your business has to be located in Minnesota. So it's not for you if you live in Wisconsin or if your business is located outside of the state. For the size of a small business, it's any business that has fewer than 200 full-time equivalent employees. So it's a kind of a big definition. So you can have up to 200 full-time, or you could have 400 part-time. That's the size of who we consider to be eligible as a small business. Your business has to be open now and plan to stay open in 2022. So the businesses Monica talked about, right, that have already closed or weren't able to keep making it, are not eligible in this program. For your ownership, about whether you live in Minnesota or not, it's considered a 50% ownership is by a resident of the state of Minnesota. And then there is another size limitation that is that your business has done at least $10,000 worth in sales or revenue, either in 2020 or in 2019. And then this year, if you're a home-based business or independent contractor or a sole proprietor, you are eligible to apply for this grant. So this grant program, it really is going to run a little bit like a lottery. It's a randomized selection process. So that's basically a lottery, which means you'll submit an application that, if you're an eligible business, you can submit an application. Our agency, DEED, will get all those applications. We'll sort them a little bit, and I'll talk about that. But then just by a random selection is who is going to get picked for this grant program. Out of the $62.5 million, there's a couple specific buckets of funding to make sure that these dollars go directly to businesses most hurt by the pandemic. And so that means really small businesses with 6 or less employees. There'll be $18 million in funds directed towards them. A minority-owned business or a Black, Indigenous, Latino-owned business, right? If you're a business owner and you're Latino, then you would qualify in the that's $10 million of funding is going to go there. Also for veteran-owned or women-owned businesses. And so in the application, we'll just ask you these questions. How big is your business, and how do you identify? And then if your business falls under multiple of these categories, then your business would be in the lottery for each of the categories where you're eligible. You can only receive one award, but you can have multiple ways. So if you are a woman and you own a business, you're a Latina woman and you own a business that has 5 employees, you would qualify to be eligible as a women-owned business, a minority-owned business, and 6 or less employees. So this is how we're trying to make sure that funding gets directly into these types of businesses. And so if you need help applying for this grant, our agency is contracted with different, Monica just waved, with different nonprofit organizations that we could not do this work without them. And so this list includes Latino Economic Development Center. We're very grateful to them and all the organizations on this page who are providing and able to help businesses in the application process. And then afterwards, if a business gets selected for a grant, they would also work with one of these nonprofits in order to get awarded the grant and to do the contract and the paperwork that comes afterwards too. So I think I have one more. one or two more. So we're in the application period right now. It started on Monday, and it's going to stay open till September 29th at 11:59 p.m. So you have a few more days to get your application in. We have some recorded webinars you can watch about it. We have some short videos about it as well, things that have been translated. And then we have an email address there that you can send questions to if you have any. And then, yeah, that's it. So it's an online application portal from our deed website. You'll get asked to provide some information about your business, provide some financial statements and tax returns, and all that information is on there. And we really encourage businesses to apply because we know it's been a challenge, and this is the state's investment in small businesses for this summer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maureen, for sharing an overview. And we know that that was a lot of information. So at this moment, we would love folks that are watching, our business owners themselves, share questions that you have with us. We'll do our best to have our expert panel here answer some of those for you. But one of the questions that I know comes often is, I am a small business owner. I have my own LLC, but I am undocumented. How does citizenship play as far as a requirement for eligibility when it comes to this specific grant, if any?
Oh, that's a good question. For this grant, we are not asking people questions about citizenship. We ask if you're a resident of Minnesota, but we just mean, do you live here? We don't mean the citizenship status of being a permanent resident or legal permanent resident. So when we ask where your business is located, you tell us that. When we ask where you live, you tell us that. And then you can show us a state ID if you have it for saying that you live in Minnesota, but you can also show us a utility bill or a piece of mail, or use some other things to prove that you're living in Minnesota, but you don't need to answer or prove any other type of citizenship questions, and you can be eligible for this grant.
Thank you. I know oftentimes, our community misses opportunities like this because of that immigration status. So, mi gente, aunque no tengas documentación, pero tienes tu negocio, puedes aplicar para esos recursos del Estado. No es importante ser residente y no es importante ser ciudadano. So, again, there is no citizenship requirement or residency proof for these types of grants. What's important is that you are a business owner here in Minnesota and that your business is in this state. So thank you so much, Maureen, for clarifying that. I have one question for Efren. How did you navigate all the support options? We just, you mentioned in the beginning that there are a lot of different resources that are out there. Oftentimes, there are so many that folks may be overwhelmed. Tell us a little bit about how you navigated the support options and how has the pandemic impacted, how your business thinks about debt?
Well, basically, it's definitely overwhelming because there is a lot of information. It can be confusing. If you go to government, for example, the Economic Development Government and the federal thing for the first COVID relief that it was in April or May, something last year, it was a lot of information about who was eligible, who was not, how to apply, what are the rules, what you can use the money for, all that kind of thing. There is loans, there is grants, what I can get back to the government once we got it, what I don't. So basically, it's having patience and read. Just sit down and read everything that you need. Another resources that we have was our lawyer and our accountant. We are being able to, if have any questions, direct them and meet with them to understand better the whole proposition or how we'll participate, or we can participate. And once we participate, what is the repercussions of that help in our business? It's a debt, it's a grant. We're going to get back that money back. We're not. So try to understand better how this help works for your business, or if you are eligible for your business. So lawyer and accountant was very helpful during this year, but a lot of internal research because they have a lot of other customers too. So every time that I just research something, I get back to them and say, hey, I found this, how this works. And they get back to me and say, hey, yep, you can do this, but this is this is the advice that I give you. If you do this or you do that, so you can take. They help us out to navigate because they give us a path to go. Okay, this is in what is the repercussions to do this for your business if you go with this path, this scenario, and the other, and help us on the kind of when we were processing all this information to make a decision, right? In our case, we have an SBA loan, and that was paid by the government for 6 months. The first year, it helped us a lot. And then there is, I think that after a couple, like 6 months ago, the federal government, in this case, when I say they approved another additional help in terms of the SBA small business. So they pay your loan without the finances that costs to the bank for basically 9 months in our case. Another business is more, it's almost a year. And the information to get this is very rare to track because bank doesn't have all the information. It was something that was created very fast. So you don't have information about who is paying your loan, when it's going to stop, until the bank calls you and say, hey, the help is gone, all the funds are gone, and you have to start paying or reacting your automatic payment. So folks that are being helped with this and are in this call, check with your bank because you don't want to miss a payment in this situation either. You want to make sure that if you are receiving some help on your loan, you want to know where it ends. And the problem is that they don't know. The funds is for 6 months, but it can be less. Never is going to be more, it's going to be less for the funds. So be very aware of how that, because you don't want that helps impact your business negatively because you miss a payment. And that's in that specific case, I wanted to be aware. I wanted to let people be aware about that because that was our experience. In terms of there is a lot of resources around the communities if you look harder. If you need help, please ask. Call somebody. Somebody will know in the community who to call. Marine have a list of non-profits that helps with this kind of help. I let you know we have a lot of help with people out of the business because as I told before, we are a new business. We don't know, nobody know how to navigate this help. Nobody know how to navigate everything because it's for the first time in humanity, we are dealing with this kind of grant. So it's very difficult and it can be challenging to find information on your language. So I think that if you or somebody else wants to communicate with us directly, our email is latitudempls@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to help you out to drive you to some of the people that are here in this call to help you out with or navigate how to find help or economic help or an introductory kind of assessment of what is available to you in the state or on a federal level as well.
Thank you so much, Efren, for offering that. We obviously have also LADC and Monica on here for those resources as well, and we'll be sharing those, following this event as well, so that you can get a hold of folks that are, more than willing to help and support. One of the other questions that I had, for small businesses. Do they need to prove that they or show financial hardship because of COVID-19 for this round of grants? Or specifically also, what can I use these funds for?
Oh, those are good questions. I can talk to that. Yes, so these funds are really, we want to direct them to businesses hurt by COVID-19. And so there's two ways for a business to be eligible to show that their business was hurt by COVID-19. The phrase we're using is financial hardship for a business because of COVID-19. One is that you could be a business that got shut down or your business was restricted by executive order last year. And if that happened to you, you probably know who you were, right? Remember when restaurants were closed, movie theaters were closed, hair salons, like anybody who was in an industry that got shut down or restricted, those businesses qualify. That qualifies as a financial hardship, so you're eligible. But there's other businesses that weren't ever ordered to shut down by the governor, but still their business was off, right? People didn't go out like they normally did. The customers didn't come. Maybe you couldn't get the supplies you normally did. I mean, people just couldn't do business as normal. So there's a whole other set of businesses indirectly impacted by the shutdown orders and COVID-19. So for a business like that, if you weren't ordered to be shut down or restricted, but you were impacted by COVID-19, those businesses were asking for a comparison of your 2020 revenue to your 2019 revenue and showing a 10% drop. So if you have done your taxes and you can show that 10% loss in revenue for a business between 2020 and 2019, then that is eligible for this grant program. And what can you use the funds for? These are grant funds, so you don't have to pay them back. That's the good news about them. And just about any eligible business expense, so rent or mortgage or utilities, anything you're spending on to do your business, that is an expense you can use these grants for. And there'll be more explanation about that, and you'll get more information about that if you get awarded a grant. But you can just think in general, it's kind of open for your business expenses that you have incurred, anything since March of 2020.
Maureen, I have a question too. You mentioned it that if you are a woman with a Latina and you have 6 or less employees, you can do 3 applications in order to get more opportunities to get a grant. That's correct or not?
Well, you just have to do one application, exactly. But you would qualify in the 3 different. Yep.
That was my question. Did I have to do 3 applications separate, or the same application have the question in order to give you access to the 3 different?
Same application. And awesome. It's not like sometimes other times when you work with the state, they will make you be a certified minority-owned business or certified women-owned business. It's nothing like that. It's just you answer the questions. I'm the business owner. I identify as Latina and a woman. And then we look at those answers. And when we design the lottery, then we know to include your business in the lottery for everything that you identify as.
Thank you so much, Maureen.
Thank you so much for that question, Efren, as well. So one application, if you fall and have intersection of identities there's only one application that you need to do for that. So thank you for clarifying that, Efren. My next question is in regards to the different resources that are more specific to our Latino community. As you know, LEDC, Latino Economic Development Center, has taken since last year the role of distributing over $14 million in government aid to prevent a lot of foreclosures and a lot of support for the Latino community during the pandemic, and of course that includes small businesses. So my question is for you, Moni, is as I mentioned, LEDC focuses on ensuring that your support for small businesses is also culturally responsive to our Latino community. Can you share some resources and information that LEDC is offering? And also, if you have any specific, impact stories that are related only to our Latino community, as a way to, really share about how this has impacted our community in a unique way compared to potentially other, things that we're not talking about when it comes to small business support.
So yes, Emma, thank you very much. Pues one thing about Latino Economic Development Center is that we are an organization Spanish first. We speak first in Spanish, then in English. So all of our services, all of our communications, and all of our staff in the organization speak Spanish. And we attend the population that speaks Spanish, even if they don't speak English. So that's one of the characteristics of Latino Economic Development Center. You mentioned that we have released a large amount of money and resources in housing. We have been participating in programs from the state, rent help from the state. We participated last year in that program, and we were processing applications for housing assistance last year, and it was a large part of the work that we did that wasn't exclusive to Latino community, was to anybody that would need it. So we were very busy with that program. We are still working with the state. We're not longer processing the applications ourselves, but we are helping people with rent help, which is a Minnesota state program. And we are also helping with rental assistance, is a program from the Ramsey County that is specifically to people in Ramsey and St. Paul area. So we're working on those. I will say that we have been struggling with the times that the state is taking to process those applications for housing very specifically. So I will tell you, please be patient and keep working with us on that, or we keep working with you and trying to get you with the application through. But the state is taking a very large amount of time to process those specific applications. That has been a really important help that the state has put together for people of all communities, and we are focusing in the Latino community for that. In general terms, and in our services and what we do and the impact that we have with Latino community, one of the things that I wanted to go into, something that was mentioned previously by a friend, is that about the advice that he was giving to Latino community, that plan some of the things that I was taking note of what he was saying. Make a set of priorities, plan, make a fund for businesses. Those are things that we typically don't do, and I wanted to emphasize on that. So one of the things that we do in Latino community is that we don't do that. So it's really important that we start doing that. And some of the things that we are doing with Latino Economic Development Center is to guide people and talk to people more about business owners, more about the importance of doing these kind of things, more about planning, more about create a fund, more about pay attention to your finances, especially very small businesses which are run by one or two people, and that's the whole business. They are not as conscious about the accounting, and they will just bring a set of receipts and payments to the accountant at the end of the year to do taxes. And we are encouraging people to actually not do that, just do it month by month. If possible, a quarter system that you really understand the finances of your businesses, and then you have a really good pulse of your business every time. So those are some of the things that we're getting people to understand. One other thing that is happening, and that our friend also mentioned, is that get online, get a website, and we're having a lot of requests for that. Get online, get websites. We have a lot of business owners that are not typically savvy in terms of getting online or having a website or even managing social media, other than our very nice millennials that probably take us a little bit of advantage of that. But even those that are used to Facebook or to Twitter and those kind of TikTok and those kind of things, not very savvy in how to use it for business purposes or within the business, or how is that you need to have a public face that is your business face when you are online. So those are important things that we are also emphasizing and talking about, and we're getting more requests and having people to understand more about that. Also, we other things that are important that I wanted to mention. We do have some of resources that, in terms of resources, we have the rental assistance. We do provide classes of business classes, and you can go into our website at any time and register for our business classes. You can call us or email to bsupport@ledcmn.org, and that's our general email. You can ask any question there in Spanish or English, as I said. We do have the business classes that start next week, actually this Saturday, and they are different topics important for people. We have a set of classes that are in Spanish that run at that time, but we also have few other classes that are in English that you can also sign up for that, and those start in October. Those are different type of topics. Some of the things that I talk about, they are here. And if you are just a person that is thinking about doing a business, but you don't have your idea very well crafted, or you haven't figured out how to do this, those classes are good place to start. So you can do that. We also have a safe food classes and other classes. We help you with anything that you can think of about starting a new business. And we are a CFI lending organization. We lend money, or we help you to access funds from other places, like for example the state or the government. Sometimes if you are undocumented, you might not be eligible for funds from the state, and we are a friendly and documented organization, so we lend you money even if you don't have documents. We lend it for the business. We don't lend money for housing, for example, or a study. But if you have a business and you have an interest for a business, you want to start a business, we lend you money to your business. So I help you to set it up and do all those kind of things. And in story, you were asking for a story of impact. One of the stories that I can think of is we have very proud members of our community, and sometimes pride gets in the way of help. So I have the story of this business owner that I met through actually one of the DEED grants from last year. And this business owner had applied for the grant, had not asked for any help, and had some issues in the setup of the business. We work with this business owner in particular to help him set up the business the way that needed to be set up so he could be eligible for the grant and for the funds. And now he is more and the reason why I was saying that pride gets in the way of help is because this business owner had not asked for help in the past, and had been having the issues that were having in the setup of the business were because he did it the way that he thought needed to be done, and had misunderstood something about something else that somebody had explained, not asking for help. So I want to say, please ask for help. And the help that is there. We also have a lot of businesses, especially in the rural area, that they don't want to get any type of help from the state because they're afraid that either they get into a loan that they don't understand and they will have to pay it off later. They get afraid that it wasn't for them and they have to pay it and also be in trouble later. So that help is there because we, as many others, have been paying taxes, and is now the time that those taxes are paying back to us, so we can continue to be in business, so we can continue to push the economy to move forward. And this is a need that we all have as a state and as a nation, as a community, to continue to be here and to move forward. So that's why that is there, and that's why we need to access it. And don't worry about asking for help. We're here to help, and the help doesn't cost. We've been this time. We're usually funded by our own donors, but this time we're also being funded by the state about the help that we're providing to you in those specific cases.
Thank you, Monica. And we already getting some questions from folks about getting connected with you. So if you wanna, at the end, we will provide some info about how to get connected to both Maureen, Monica, and Efren. So, we talked a little bit about how this new round of funding is going to be shared out, and then just the priorities of this funding specifically being for women, veterans, and Indigenous, Latinx, people of color, small businesses. So let's say I already applied. When will I hear back about this? And also, what if I already applied, in a previous grant cycle? Can I apply a grant again for this opportunity? And again, when will I find out whether or not I have been selected? As we have shared, this is a lottery process, so it is going to be randomly selected. And I would love to know a little bit more about those logistics. Like, one, if I've already applied, can I apply again? And then two, when will I find out whether or not I am one of those small business owners that is going to receive some of this funding? Thank you.
Yeah, good questions. Well, we did have a program like this last summer. It was called the Small Business Relief Grants. And if you got a grant last summer, it would be a $10,000 grant. Same thing, it was a lottery. If you got one of those last summer, you are eligible to apply for this one, but you don't have priority in the lottery process, because what we're trying to do is spread out the funds to businesses that didn't get them already. So there's a handful of state-funded programs where we will ask you if you got that kind of state funding already. And you can answer yes, and you can still do your application, but we're going to try first and give priority to people that did not receive state funds before. But it's kind of a small number of state programs. So there's no penalty to you, and you still have priority if your organization, if your business got a PPP or an EIDL or some of those federal programs a friend was talking about. Those do not count against you in this process. So you'll just answer the questions on the application. You don't have to figure it out yourself, but we are just trying to spread the funds around. That was one question. Oh, when do you think, when we'll do this? So applications are due by the 29th of September. We will take a few weeks then to do the sorting and the lottery process. And really staff come from the Minnesota Department of Lottery and helped us to set up really how it happens. And then we think late October, businesses will start getting notified. Sometime in October and November, you'll get a notification if your business was selected. And then hopefully by the end of the year that the funds can get out to you, and then you can get out to use them. So I know Monica was talking about, right? Sometimes it can be hard and slow with the state, and that might feel hard and slow, but that's probably about as quick as we'll be doing it.
Thank you. And that is, I would say, rapid turnaround. Again, the deadline is September 29, and folks will hear about whether or not they were selected for that fund by end of October. So thank you so much, Maureen, for sharing a little bit more about that. So one of the things that we have from our audience is, does it matter if my business is a new business this year?
It is not going to be a program for you if you are a new 2021 business. Unfortunately, this one is really focused on businesses that were heard in 2020. So brand new in 2021, not eligible. But if you were new in 2020, you can be eligible. If you were new in 2020 in an industry that was hit by one of the shutdowns, those businesses are eligible. Otherwise, the limits on this program are really 2019 and 2020 businesses. Got you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for clarifying that. One of the questions that I would love to ask Efren, as you're thinking about these new resources and the year, ahead, what hope do you have for the future of your own business at this time?
Okay. I think that first off, I wanted to see everybody healthy. Everybody get healthy again, so we can have a normal life. And this is for my employees, my coworker, my family, my partners, and everybody that help us to build this business and conceive the idea when we bring it to a lot of people we consult in the beginning. I think that my big hope for the future is to run my business successfully, and in the process help the community around me, people Boricuas como yo, or whatever Latino that wants to work with us in the future, that we will be able to contribute into the communities, into our people, and into the economy of the state overall, running a successful business. That's what we want. I don't start this business because I wanted to be rich. I started this business because I wanted to do something that I didn't find in the retail space in the city, and with the help of a couple of people to get back to the community as much as we can. That's exactly. I have a full-time job in a big bicycle company here in Minneapolis. So this is a side gig that we went into it with the idea to get back to the community, hire people in the community, and involve and contribute to the economy overall of the cities. My wife is from St. Paul. I'm from Puerto Rico, but I'm living here. So That's exactly what I hope for the future. And don't lose more people into our communities because of this. That's my hope.
Thank you, Efren. Y obviamente que te mandamos todas las buenas vibras para tu familia y obviamente tu negocio. As we know, small businesses do run and create amazing opportunities for community members, and we need them to thrive. And so, thank you for sharing your experience, Efren. And like you said, it's important to ensure that we are all healthy. And then my hope is that your business continues to thrive and all small businesses continue to thrive after this. We have about 4 minutes, so I would love an opportunity to have Monica share last few words about whether that is resources, about your hope for small businesses, or how folks can get in contact with you. Also, Maureen, I'll follow up with you after that to share any last minute thoughts from Deed, and then we will close this event for now. But like as I said, this is being recorded, and so if you have more questions and want to follow up on some of the items that we talked today, we will be sharing this on our YouTube channel with more resources and links about things that we talked about today. So Moni, take it away, and then Maureen follow up after that.
Gracias, Irma. So just in terms of hopes for the future, yes, I'll take a friend with everybody be healthy and get vaccinated. We have a lot of hesitant around here with our communities, and it just really get information, get to think about it is with love, is love for everybody and for love for our community. And in terms of business owners, be prepared. Let's work together with other businesses in rural areas, especially look at the other businesses that are around. I see that there are a lot of, we have a very entrepreneur community. We're seeing a lot of more businesses that are coming up, and we're seeing businesses that are just being born right now out of the situations that are right now. So people wanted to start their own businesses, and that is great. But look around too. Look at, not everybody should have started the taco shop all together, because we'll saturate in the market if we do that. So let's look around and work together with others in how we can all complement each other and not compete that directly with each other. And in terms of how do you find me, my email, monica@ledcmn.org, or our general email is bsupport, BIZ support @ledcmn.org. And or find us in social media, Facebook, like us, and we're there. Thank you.
And I'll just add, we have some Spanish resources available on our Mainstreet COVID relief grant page at Deed. You can look us up. Our website is mn.gov/deed. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much again, Carla, who is part of the Latino Lead team, for coordinating and putting this together. Monica, Efren, and Maureen for being part of this event. Lastly, I would love to invite you all to join our network of Latino Lead, to also remember that there is an opportunity to join and learn about leadership development in our new Avanzando Liderazgo program, which will have more information. And again, thank you so much for being part of this event, and we will be sharing this with more resources following up soon on our YouTube channel and also on our newsletter coming forward. So muchísimas gracias, mi gente, estamos en contacto, y esto va a ser promocionado otra vez en nuestro de YouTube, y cualquier recursos que mencionamos hoy en este programa también va a ser parte de lo que vamos a enseñar después. Y muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much, and we will be in touch at our next Latino Lead event, which is happening on October 14th.